I caught my boyfriend and my sister in bed. He didn't flinch, he just stared straight into my eyes and said, "You were never enough." He had no idea what I'd do next. I should have seen it coming, the way Desmond's eyes always searched for something, or someone, beyond me. I remember the first time it made me uneasy. We were at a party and instead of focusing on me, he laughed at messages on his phone, his smile lighting up like he was performing for an audience I couldn't see. I told myself I was imagining things. I wanted to believe it was love. My name is Maya and I thought I understood love. I thought I knew what it meant to care for someone, to be cared for in return. But the truth is, sometimes love hides behind a hunger that isn't yours to feed. I remember the first time I met Desmond vividly. It was at a small bookstore, the kind where the smell of old pages hangs in the air and the world feels like it's paused. I was reaching for a book on the top shelf when he appeared beside me, taller, calm, with a quiet confidence that made me nervous. "You always come here?" he asked, his voice gentle but curious. I looked at him, startled. "Yes. I like it here. It's peaceful." He smiled, a soft, knowing smile. "Peaceful is good. But you look like someone who carries storms inside, even in a place like this." I blinked, unsure what to say. His words weren't flattery. They felt real, like he could see something I didn't even let myself show. I guess, I murmured, my fingers tightening around the book. "You know," he continued, leaning slightly closer, "I've never believed in coincidences. I think people enter your life for a reason. And right now, I think you're meant to be here talking to me." I laughed nervously, trying to hide the flutter in my chest. "That's quite a thing to say to someone you just met." He shrugged, his eyes serious. "Maybe. But I mean it. I don't say things I don't feel. I can't. You have a way of making everything feel sharper, clearer. Like you matter." And that was it. Just a few sentences, but something about them clung to me. Felt like he saw me in a way no one else had. He said he would like us to be friends. We exchanged numbers that day. At night, while I was at home lying down on my bed scrolling through my phone, my sister Lena was in her room having a heated argument with her boyfriend on the phone. He called me just to talk. And the next night and the night after that. A week later he called me and told me he was outside my house and that I should come out. My heart stopped for a second, thinking like I didn't expect him to show up like that. I remembered the last time I saw him in a grocery store. He accompanied a friend there and greeted. I then pointed my house to him that day casually. I didn't think he would ever come over. When I saw him that day at my house, he was neatly dressed, holding a white nylon bag. Inside was a cupcake. He said he thought of Maya and decided to buy this for me and also just to see my face. My mouth was opened for a second, but no words came out. It was as if I had butterflies in my stomach. When I finally speaks, I said thank you and gave him a kiss on his chin. That evening we stayed outside my house under a shaded tree, chatting and giggling loudly. In that moment he asked me, "Would you be my girlfriend?" I smiled and said yes. In my mind I said, "Who wouldn't want to be your girlfriend?" In that moment we kissed. That evening before my parents came back we said goodnight as he left with smile in our faces. He kept coming like that with gifts and I accepted them, thinking I was lucky to find someone like him. He always called me in each passing day, showering me with praise and admiration. I didn't see it then, but each call, each word of admiration was pulling me deeper, teaching me to mistake attention for love. Desmond didn't just love me, he drowned me in it. Every morning started with a message from him, long paragraphs telling me how beautiful I was, how lucky he felt, how he couldn't stop thinking about me. "Good morning, my star," he'd write. "Do you know you're the first thought I wake up to? You make everything brighter, Maya. Don't ever forget that." He memorized the smallest details about me. The way I liked my coffee, the song I hummed absent-mindedly, the exact words I used when I was nervous. And he repeated them back to me, making me feel like no one had ever paid attention to me so closely. One night, under the glow of streetlights, he held my hand and whispered, "Maya, I don't care about anyone else. It's always been you. You're my home." I remember feeling my chest tighten, tears burning my eyes. No one had ever spoken to me like that. No one had ever made me feel so chosen, so irreplaceable. Every word was carefully placed, every gesture deliberate, and I thought it was because he loved me deeply. Desmond wasn't just affectionate, he was relentless with his promises. He painted pictures of a future so vivid that I could almost touch it. Late at night, when the world was quiet and his voice was the only thing I heard, he'd whisper dreams into my ear like they were sacred vows. "Maya, I swear one day I'll give you the life you deserve. A house by the water, just us, no one else. You'll wake up every morning knowing you're the most important person in my world. I'd smile, my heart swelling with warmth. You really think so? I'd ask, my voice small, almost afraid to believe it. I don't think, he'd say, squeezing my hand, looking straight into my eyes with that disarming intensity. I know. You and me, Maya, we're unstoppable. No one else matters. I'll never hurt you. I'll never leave you. You're safe with me. And I believed him. Every word slipped into me like honey, sweet and irresistible. He said things I had longed to hear my whole life. I'll protect you from anyone who tries to hurt you. You'll never feel alone again, I promise. No one will ever love you like I do, not in this lifetime, not in the next. He made me feel chosen, irreplaceable, like he was building a world where only we existed. And I wanted so badly to believe it was true, that his words weren't just words, but bricks for the foundation of our forever. What I didn't realize was that his promises weren't built on love. They were chains, invisible, soft at first, almost comforting. And every time I held on to his vows, I was wrapping another link around myself, binding me closer to him, blinding me to the truth. Desmond became a constant in my life. At first it was magical. The late night calls, the way he'd ask about every detail of my day, the way he'd listen so intently that I felt like my voice was the only one in the world that mattered. He made me feel seen, like every word I spoke carried weight. But then little by little the tone shifted. It started with small request. Maya, could you help me with this assignment? I'm terrible at it, but you're so smart, I know you'll make sense of it. I laughed, agreed, stayed up late and helped him. It felt good to be needed. Then came the late night emergencies. Maya, I can't sleep. Everything feels heavy, and you're the only one who calms me down. I'd stay awake for hours, listening, soothing, forgetting my own exhaustion just to keep him steady. After that, the favors grew bigger. Maya, I'm short on cash this week. Could you spot me something? I'll pay you back, you know I will. He always said he would, and sometimes he did, but other times he didn't. Till I brushed it off. I told myself that's what love looked like. Sacrifice, patience, trust. The more he asked, the more I gave, and the more I gave, the more I felt trapped in the belief that he needed me, that without me he would fall apart. And maybe that was the point. Because every time I thought of pulling back, every time I tried to set a boundary, he would pull me closer with words I couldn't resist. You're all I have, Maya. No one understands me the way you do. If you leave, I don't know how I'll survive. And I believed him. God, I believed him. I didn't realize it then, but what I thought was love was something else entirely. It wasn't devotion, it was dependence. It wasn't intimacy, it was control. Desmond had a way of making me feel like the center of his world, but only so I would never notice that his world always revolved around him. The truth? It was the perfect trap. Because once he made me believe I was everything he ever wanted, it became impossible to say no. At first, Desmond's promises were like oxygen. I breathed them in, clung to them, built my days around the future he painted for us. But slowly, those words that once felt like love began to twist into something else. The man who once said, "You'll never feel alone again, I promise," was the same one who started calling me at 2 a.m., not to tell me he loved me, but because he was falling apart, and needed me to fix him. Maya, please, you're the only one who understands me. Don't go to sleep yet. Just talk to me. Don't leave me right now. So I stayed awake even when my body screamed for rest, even when my eyes burned from exhaustion. I stayed because I remembered his promise. I was the only one who mattered. The man who once said, "I'll protect you from anyone who tries to hurt you," was the same one who made me feel guilty for wanting space. Why are you pulling away, Maya? What did I do? Do you even love me the way I love you? And suddenly I was the villain for asking for a single evening to myself. I stopped asking after a while. I learned that my silence kept the peace. The man who once swore, "No one will ever love you like I do," was the same one who reminded me, every chance he got, that I'd never find better than him. You know I'm the only one who puts up with you, right? Anyone else would have left already. You should be grateful I stay. And the worst part? I believed him. His promises had built me up so high that when he began to tear me down, I thought it was my fault, not his. I thought if I just tried harder, loved louder, gave more, he would go back to being the man who once made me feel like the only woman in the world. But he didn't go back. He just pulled me deeper. The cracks began quietly. So quietly I almost convinced myself they weren't there. Desmond still called me his everything, still sent messages in the mornings, but now they were shorter, emptier. The long paragraphs that once made me blush turned into a single line. Morning. Don't forget me. The grand gesture stopped too. No more surprise flowers, no more late-night walks, no more whispered promises under the stars. Instead there were endless requests. Maya, I need you to come over. Maya, can you send me something for my rent? Maya, can you cancel your plans? I'm not in the mood to be alone tonight. It was subtle at first. He still called me beautiful, still told me he loved me. But every word now came wrapped in need, like affection was just the sugar coating for another demand. I tried to ignore it. I told myself it was stress, that maybe life was weighing on him, that the man I met in that bookstore was still there, just buried, waiting for me to pull him back out. So I gave more. I answered every call no matter how late. I stayed even when I was tired. I said yes to things that left me drained because every time I hesitated he'd hit me with the same line. Maya, you're the only one I can count on. If you really love me, you won't let me down. And I didn't want to let him down. I didn't want to lose him. But somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice started whispering. A voice I kept pushing away. It asked me why his love only felt strong when I was sacrificing myself. Why the man who once promised me the world now only gave me pieces, crumbs, just enough to keep me hungry. I silenced that voice with hope. I clung to the memory of Desmond's soft eyes in that bookstore, his hand warm over mine, his voice steady when he said, "You're my home." I told myself he just needed time. That love was patience. That love was endurance. But the truth was beginning to gnaw at me. Love shouldn't feel like this. Love shouldn't feel like exhaustion wrapped in devotion. And yet I stayed. The breaking point didn't come all at once. It was slow, like water dripping onto stone, carving me down bit by bit until I barely recognized myself. I remember one night in particular. I had just finished a long day at work, my body aching for rest, my mind begging for silence. I wanted nothing more than to curl up and sleep. My phone buzzed. It was Desmond. "Come over." Just 2 words. No please, no, how are you? Just a command. I stared at the screen, my chest tightening. For the first time I didn't want to go. For the first time I thought about saying no. I typed slowly, "Desmond, I'm really tired tonight. Can we talk tomorrow?" His reply came instantly. "Wow. So that's how it is. After everything I've done for you, you can't even be here when I need you? You know, anyone else would be begging for my attention. I don't even know why I bother sometimes." The words cut through me like glass. My hands shook as I read them, my stomach twisting in guilt. And before I could stop myself, I was already putting on my shoes, already on my way to him. That night, I lay beside him while he slept soundly, and I stared at the ceiling, wide awake, my chest heavy. I realized something. The love he gave me only existed when I was giving more. His promises were always conditional. His affection was a currency, and I was the one paying for it, with my time, my energy, my soul. And yet I still clung to the hope that he'd change. I replayed his old words like a prayer. "You're my home. No one will ever love you like I do. You're safe with me." I wanted so badly for them to be true that I ignored the evidence piling up in front of me. But hope has a way of turning into chains. And each time I forgave him, each time I excused him, I felt those chains grow tighter around me. It was in that moment, lying in the dark with Desmond's steady breathing beside me, that I finally heard the quiet voice inside me again. Louder now, impossible to ignore. "This isn't love, Maya. This is hunger. And you're the meal." The confrontation happened on a Sunday evening. I don't know what gave me the courage. Maybe it was the exhaustion, maybe it was the silence that had been eating me alive. But as we sat in his apartment, I finally let the words escape. "Desmond," I said softly, my voice trembling but steady enough. "I can't keep doing this. I feel like you only love me when I'm giving, when I'm fixing, when I'm carrying everything for you. But when I need you, you're not there." For a moment he was quiet. He leaned back on the couch, arms folded, eyes narrowed like he was analyzing me. Then he laughed, not kindly but sharp, mocking. "There it is," he said. "The speech. I knew this would come eventually. Maya, you're just tired. You're overthinking again. You always do this." I swallowed hard, shaking my head. "No, Desmond. I'm not overthinking. I'm telling you how I feel. I feel used." His eyes flashed and his tone shifted. calm but laced with venom. Used? Really? After everything I've done for you? After all the times I've been there when no one else was? You want to stand here and call me selfish? My throat tightened. I'm not saying you've never been there. I'm saying it's always on your terms. It's always about what you need when you need it. And when I ask for the same, you make me feel guilty. He leaned forward, his face inches from mine, his voice low and sharp. That's because you don't understand me. You think this is easy for me? You think I don't sacrifice? I've given you more than I've given anyone, Maya. If that's not enough for you, maybe you're the selfish one. The room fell silent. His words hung heavy, twisting everything I said into something ugly. Suddenly, I wasn't the one asking for balance. I was the one accused of being ungrateful. And the worst part? A part of me started to believe him. I sat there frozen, my hands shaking, tears burning my eyes. He reached out then, his voice soft again like a switch flipped. Don't cry, baby. You know I love you. You know no one else will ever love you like I do. And just like that, the trap tightened again. The cycle went on for months. I would confront him, he would twist my words, and I would fall silent, convinced that maybe I was the problem. Each time I told myself I'd try harder, give more love deeper. Each time I sank further into him like quicksand pulling me under. But nothing could have prepared me for the night I found out just how far his hunger for attention had gone. It was a Friday evening when everything finally snapped into place. I had a feeling, a pull in my gut I couldn't ignore. Desmond had told me he was tired and just wanted to stay in, but something about his voice on the phone felt off. I decided to stop by his apartment anyway. When I reached the door, it was slightly open. My chest tightened instantly. Half-open doors had become the symbol of my nightmares. I pushed it wider and stepped inside. Music was playing softly and I heard laughter. Not his laughter. A woman's. Familiar. Too familiar. I froze. My body knew before my mind could accept it. I followed the sound down the hall, and when I reached his bedroom doorway, the world shattered. There she was, my sister Lena. Her hair falling over her face as she leaned against Desmond, her hand on his chest like it had always belonged there. His arm wrapped tightly around her waist, his lips pressed against her neck as if I had never existed. I couldn't breathe. My mouth opened but no sound came out. My hands trembled so violently that I had to grip the doorframe just to stay standing. Desmond looked up first, his eyes widening for just a second. Lena turned too, her face draining of color, guilt flooding every line of her expression. Maya, she started, her voice cracking. But Desmond cut her off with a sharp laugh. Not nervous, not ashamed. Confident. Defiant. Well, he said slowly, leaning back like he had nothing to hide, I guess you weren't supposed to find out this way. My sister's eyes filled with tears, but Desmond didn't waver. He smirked, his tone casual, mocking. You act shocked, Maya, but you had to feel it. You had to know something was missing between us. I gave you everything at first, but you never kept up. Lena understands me. She gives me what you can't, you were never enough. Each word landed like a knife, twisting deeper. My sister buried her face in her hands, whispering apologies I couldn't hear over the roaring in my ears. But Desmond, he sat there calm, collected, as if betraying me with my own blood was just another move in a game he thought he had already won. Desmond smirked, his eyes locked on mine, and for the first time he didn't even bother to hide his cruelty. You know what, Maya? I should thank you. You made this too easy. You've always been desperate for love, always clinging to me like I was the best thing that ever happened to you. But the truth? You were never enough. Not for me. My chest tightened, my breath shallow, but he didn't stop. Do you know how exhausting it was listening to you go on and on about how scared you were to lose me? You thought your devotion would keep me here, but all it did was bore me. You gave everything and still, I felt nothing. Nothing. Lena sobbed softly beside him, whispering my name, but Desmond just pulled her closer, like twisting the knife deeper. And the irony? He chuckled darkly. The whole time you were trying to prove you were the only one who could love me, your own sister did it better, without even trying. She didn't cling, she didn't beg. She made me feel alive again, something you could never do. He leaned forward, his grin smug, his voice lowering to a whisper that cut sharper than a scream. Face it, Maya. You were practice. She's the prize. For a moment I couldn't move. His words echoed in my head, each one slicing deeper than the last. Practice. Prize. I felt the tears burning in my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. Not this time. Slowly I straightened my back and stepped fully into the room. My voice was steady, so calm it scared even me. You're right, Desmond, I said quietly. I was desperate. I gave you everything thinking it was love. I begged for crumbs, when I should have seen you for what you really are. A hollow man who feeds on weakness because you have nothing real to offer. His smirk faltered just slightly, but I didn't stop. You call me practice? I let out a small, bitter laugh. No, Desmond. I was the only thing giving you the illusion of being a man. Without me, without my love, without my sacrifices, you're nothing but a parasite. And now, I turned my eyes to Lena, who looked like she wanted the ground to swallow her whole. Now you've traded down, not up. Because if he could use me, he will use you too. It's only a matter of time. I stepped closer, my gaze never leaving his. You wanted to break me with your words. But all you did was free me. I don't need your promises. I don't need your lies. And I sure as hell don't need you. I let the silence hang heavy, the weight of my words settling in the room. Desmond opened his mouth to speak, but nothing came. For the first time he had no clever twist, no cruel retort. Just silence. Then I turned, my heels clicking against the floor, and walked out, my tears finally spilling, but my spine straighter than it had ever been. Behind me I heard Lena's sobs grow louder and Desmond's voice crack for the first time. Aya, wait. But I didn't. Days turned into weeks, and for the first time in years, I felt the weight of him lift off my shoulders. The silence that once felt suffocating now felt like freedom. I was broken, yes, but I was breathing again. But then the messages started. First it was simple. Aya, please answer me. Then, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have said those things. You're the only one who ever loved me for real. Then came the calls in the middle of the night, the voicemails dripping with desperation. Maya, you don't understand. She's not you. She'll never be you. Please come back. I need you. And finally the knock on my door at 2 a.m. Desmond standing there, disheveled, his arrogance stripped away, eyes wild with panic. You think you're strong without me? He said, his voice breaking. You're not. You'll come crawling back, because you can't live without me. You never could. But this time I just stared at him, my expression calm, my silence louder than anything I could say. And for the first time, Desmond looked small. Pathetic. Like the parasite he truly was. I closed the door. And the sound of that lock clicking shut was the real ending of us. It had been 3 weeks since the night I walked out. 3 weeks since I left him with my sister and the ashes of everything I thought was love. At first I expected silence. I thought he would move on, maybe even celebrate his little victory. But instead the opposite happened. The messages started small. Maya, please just hear me out. Maya, I didn't mean it like that. Maya, you're the only one who understands me. I ignored them. Deleted them. But they kept coming. Dozens in a day. Then the voicemails. His voice breaking, trembling, sometimes angry, sometimes desperate. You think you can just walk away? After everything I gave you? After everything you owe me? Then only hours later. I can't sleep without you. I can't breathe without you. Please Maya, I made a mistake. She's not you. She'll never be you. It was like watching a man unravel thread by thread. And then one night I heard it, the pounding on my door at 2 a.m. My chest tightened, but I didn't move at first. The pounding grew louder, more frantic, until I finally opened it. There he was. Desmond. His once perfect hair was messy, his shirt wrinkled, his eyes bloodshot. He looked nothing like the man who used to stand tall, smirking, twisting every word like a weapon. He looked desperate. Maya, he breathed, his voice cracking. Please let me in. I can't do this without you. I stayed silent. My hand still gripping the doorknob, my body blocking his way. You don't get it, he continued, his words tumbling out in broken gasps. You think you're strong without me? You're not. You've never been strong. I made you. I gave you everything. You can't live without me, you need me. But even as he said it, his voice betrayed him. It wasn't confidence. It was fear. I tilted my head slightly, studying him. For the first time I wasn't the one trembling. I wasn't the one begging. Desmond, I said softly, my tone steady, almost cold, look at yourself. His lips parted, confusion flickering across his face. You called me practice. You said I wasn't enough. And now here you are, outside my door in the middle of the night, begging for scraps of the love you threw away. You didn't make me, Desmond. You drained me. And without me, you're nothing but a hollow man who can't stand his own reflection. His chest rose and fell, his eyes wide, wet with tears. He never thought he'd cry in front of me. And then slowly I closed the door. The lock clicked shut, final and sharp, echoing in the silence. On the other side I heard it, the sound of him breaking. His fists against the door, his voice cracking into raw sobs. But I didn't move. I didn't answer. For the first time in years I felt free. When someone showers you with excessive praise, gifts and promises at the start, it can feel magical, but often it's a strategy to hook you. True love builds slowly, consistently, without needing to overwhelm. Desmond called, visited, praised, and demanded my focus, but it was never about giving, only about taking. A toxic heart craves attention because it feeds their ego, not because they value your soul. The cracks usually show early, in the jokes that cut too deep, in the shifting blame, in the way they twist your words. If someone constantly makes you feel not enough, believe their actions, not their apologies. My strength wasn't in screaming or fighting for Desmond's approval. It was in standing tall, seeing his cruelty for what it was, and refusing to beg for what should have been freely given. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories.